And now I am going to turn it over for the third part of our session as it relates to mental health and COVID and school reopening. We're really lucky to have Ms. Ashlyn Davis with us today.
Thank you. I just wanted to start off just normalizing that, we all have mental health. We all have feelings and we all have emotions. And it's okay to have the different feelings and the different emotions. If you look at that picture with the heart, there's happy, there's sad, there's worried, scared, mad, and feeling frustrated. And all of these feelings are important. All of these feelings are important to sit with and to have, and noticing our feelings. And I'm glad we just had that mindful moment to kind of just breathe in and breathe out and, letting go of any stress or any anxiety or anything else that we're holding. So thank you for that mindful moment. And we could go to the next slide. First, I just want to really touch on that. This past year, it has been very, very different. We are all created to be social beings, and we have had to be physically distant and physically safe away from each other, and not being able to engage in activities that we would normally engage in. And I'll use Dr. Frank as assistance over here with the Pear Deck. I always want to hear, what activities do you do that help support your emotional health? What do you do in your free time? Okay, I'm seeing some answers: playing, doing sports. Awesome. We have some dancers, theater, artists in here. Spending time with friends. Yeah. Lots of athletes here, huh? Thank you. Thank you for sharing those different ideas. And I'm sure like just sharing your ideas will help somebody else find an idea what to do. If we could go to the next slide about just having some grief and loss. And in this past year, because we weren't able to engage in activities, maybe play sports like we once used to, there's a lot of loss. When people think of grief and loss, they only think about someone passing away, which is also something that has happened to a lot of us. Either we know someone that has passed away due to COVID, or we may have experienced that in our own family or own friendship groups. And not only is it somebody passing away, not being able to celebrate graduations, going to prom, having that first day of school, or like hanging out with each other, assemblies, all of that, all of those activities. It was a huge loss. It is a huge loss for our students. And, I do want to name that through this time, there has been a lot of grief and loss. And, thinking back to that first slide of like having that heart, it's okay for you to have emotions, whether it's sadness, whether it's angry. Everybody has their own way of not only experiencing grief and loss, but also coping with grief and loss. So if you're angry, I know when we first started off this presentation, there was people feeling angry, but people also feeling good, and some people feeling hopeful. But this is all just the cycle of grief and loss. And I just want to kind of touch on that, on how it has been hard in the past year. And it's okay to feel those feelings that you're having. If we could go to the next slide. And, through this time, as we're experiencing grief and loss and these transitions, there's so many ways that we as a community, OUSD, US students, have shown up and been so resilient. And I just want to highlight ways that we've, had virtual graduations, we've had virtual band and choir performances, Zoom birthday celebrations, Zoom drive-by, or not Zoom drive-bys, drive-by celebrations for birthdays. I've seen where people have had bike parties or hikes and walks, or meeting with your providers via telehealth. Through this time, I just want to highlight how resilient all of our students have been, how all of our students have been showing up for Zoom classes, adapting to just the changes Yes, there's grief and loss, and yes, there are resilience. And if you notice in the second picture, I don't know if you guys can see it, it says OUSD band helps bring soul to life. So our Brewer Middle School was actually featured. I don't know if any of you have watched that movie Soul on Disney. Our Brewer Middle School band was featured as part of that movie. They were playing the instruments in part of that movie. And if you remember, part of the theme of this movie was what got what gets us through is a spark inside of us. And when we talk about resilience, when I talk about resilience with our students, it's the spark within you. Whatever. When my first question is, what is it that you do to help just support your mental health, your emotional health? And it could be the spark inside of you. It could be the sports, the dance, the art, the leaning on your natural supports, the leaning on, meeting. I know young people that get on Zoom and like watch Netflix together. It's leaning on each other through this time. So I just thought it was very special. Just finding that spark inside of you to get through during this time. And if we could go to the next slide. And I also want to say it's okay not to be okay. It's hard. And if you're not feeling good, and if it's been tough for you, this is where we have not only do we have the youth crisis line and a text safe line, but if you know somebody, or if you yourself, a friend or a family member that isn't doing well, that's experiencing either thoughts of suicide, wanting to die, feeling sad or irritable, or depressed every day, having just really racing and anxious thoughts, and you want somebody, whether it is about going back to school and you're feeling super anxious about it and you really need to talk to somebody, if you're having a hard time falling asleep, or somebody that's having a hard time falling asleep, or you just simply need to just vent to somebody, you just need to talk to somebody safe, a safe adult, please, please, please let either your teacher know, your parent, if you meet with a doctor, let your doctor know, a principal, their school social workers, your school nurse, or any other trusted adult that, hey, I need a space to talk about these things. I need a space to talk about the loss I've had in the past year. And whoever you talk to, hopefully they get you connected to either the therapist like myself, or just talking to that trusted adult can be the comfort and the help that you need during this time. And it's okay to reach out for the help if you really, really need to talk to somebody. And if we go to the next slide, some of the things that we can do to protect our mental health when we do go back to school. The first most important thing is just being patient and being kind to yourself. Going back in there, just with kindness to yourself, breathing, taking a step back, taking a few deep breaths in, letting as you're walking, if you go back to school, walking through the hallways, if you get anxious, taking a step back, just breathing in and breathing out. A lot of you are artists, I saw. If you can express yourself via art, drawing, singing, using your sports as an outlet to just let out any anxiety, any worries that you have. Also, just to do something that you enjoy. And as I mentioned before about relationships being a protective factor, like leaning on your friends, leaning on relationships, leaning on people that care about you and that you care about, to just talk to. And exercise, moving your body, so important for your mental health. It's all connected, your brain, your body. It's so important to just move, exercise, dance, have a dance party in your room, turn on the music out loud. Do these things just to protect your mind through this time. I know a lot of you have already been doing these things. I mean, these are some of the ideas I got from some of the young people. So just moving your body, taking care of your mind, and remember your mental health matters. Remember that it's okay to have the different feelings and it's okay to ask for help. And I think that's the last slide. It was very quick, but that was the last slide.